Have you ever noticed what it is that makes someone crave your attention? Recognize your worth and suddenly want you more than ever? Has it happened to you? When you finally decide to take a step back, give some space, move on, suddenly that person who seemed to not care about you at all reappears. It's like the moment you stop loving them, they start loving you. This plays with your head, with your thoughts, makes your heart spin, confuses you, and touches your deepest feelings. And the questions that start to come back to you and won't leave you alone are, why now? What changed? Do they really care about you? Or are they just looking for you because they realized you're no longer available? Why is it so common for people to notice our worth when we decide to walk away? In today's video, I'm going to show you 9 proofs that people only love you when you no longer love them. Let's understand what is behind this behavior, and more importantly, how you can use this philosophy to regain your personal power. We should not be at the mercy of those who only recognize our value when we are no longer around. It is time to take back control of your life, to recognize the value you have without depending on anyone's approval. Are you ready? Join me as we unravel this behavior and understand together what Stoicism has to teach us. It's the moment you decide that enough is enough, the moment you decide to move on, to focus on yourself and your own growth, that they feel like they're struck by a bolt of regret. They realize what they've lost, and then they start chasing you, obsessing over you, as if you were the only thing that matters. They didn't see it coming, but now they can't imagine life without you. That's the strength of stepping back, of reclaiming your strength and letting them feel the full weight of your absence. But this is not a whim of fate. It is the consequence of reclaiming your power, of taking a step back and allowing them to feel the immense emptiness of your absence. When you redirect their energy towards you, you force them to confront the painful reality of your absence. They are forced to face the disturbing realization that they took you for granted, and now they can't bear the thought of losing you. As the saying goes, don't chase, let them realize that they need you and not the other way around. And that's not all. As you continue to focus on yourself, you become even more magnetic, more desirable, as if someone turned on a light in their mind. You draw them in with your silence and make them crave your attention. They begin to see what they're missing, and the regret only deepens. They're left craving your attention, yearning for a connection they didn't value when they had it. So, if you are ready to harness this power and make them realize how much they need you, get ready. Without further ado, let's understand these 9 undeniable truths that will show you exactly why they only want you when you no longer want them. This isn't just about tipping the scales in your favor, it's about taking control and being in charge of your own life. By mastering these Stoic skills, you will become someone unforgettable. Your thoughts and actions will leave such a powerful mark that they will not be able to help but think of you again and again. The power of absence. Have you noticed that sometimes just walking away has a profound impact on relationships? When you become less available, something magical happens. You create a void, a space that was previously filled by your constant presence, and it is precisely in that space where people begin to realize how important you were. You might be wondering if it's possible that just by being absent, someone will love you more. The answer is a resounding yes. Let's see why this seemingly simple concept has so much power. You see, when you're always there, texting, calling, showing up, they start to take you for granted. Your constant presence becomes something they assume. You'll always be there, like that extra slice of pizza in the fridge, until suddenly it's gone, and that's when things start to get interesting. You're always available, you're always there when they need a shoulder to lean on, or someone to hang out with. I've experienced it myself. When I was always available, ready to help, chat, or be around, it seemed like people saw me as a constant, almost guaranteed thing. But all I had to do was step away and focus on myself, and suddenly messages started coming in asking me, "What happened? Why did you disappear?" This is where the power of absence comes into play. Your absence creates a void, a gap in their life, the space where you used to be. And here's the thing about voids. They long to be filled. Your absence forces them to confront the space you occupied in their life, and they begin to realize how much they miss your presence. As the wise Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When you're always there, they think they know everything about you, about your availability, about your value. But when you take a step back, they are forced to reevaluate. They realize that they didn't value you as much as they should have, and that's when they start wanting you even more. And here's the real kicker of absence. It not only makes your heart grow fonder, it makes your mind race. They start to imagine all the things you could be doing without them, all the fun you're having, and all the new people you're meeting. Suddenly they are no longer the star of your show, and that's when they start wanting to be part of your story again. But let's be clear, this isn't about being playful or manipulative. It's about understanding your own worth. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't diminished just because someone doesn't see it right away. Let's start by talking about valuing yourself. Recognizing our worth is one of the greatest discoveries we can make. We often spend so much time seeking approval from others, trying to please them, that we forget to take care of ourselves. As the great Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be different from the one who caused the offense." By taking a step back and focusing on yourself, you're not only showing them what they're missing, you're showing yourself what you deserve. And interestingly, it is precisely at that moment when we stop trying so hard to be noticed and focus on our own growth that others begin to perceive our true value. It is as if by stopping focusing on pleasing, we begin to shine naturally. Embrace the power of absence is a tool, a strategy, but most importantly, it is a reflection of your respect. When you take a step back, you're giving them the opportunity to realize what they're losing, how much you mean to them, and if they don't recognize it, well, that's their loss, not yours. Keep growing, keep focusing on yourself, and remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply make yourself less available. This journey isn't just about making them want you more. It's about making sure you want yourself even more. So go ahead, embrace your worth, and let your absence speak louder than words. Because when you value yourself, the right people will start to value you too. Before moving on to the next point, you're probably wondering, why do they only realize your value when you no longer love them? The answer is that this is a situation many of us have faced. You've invested time and energy into someone only to have them take you for granted. Then something changes. You decide enough is enough. You stop chasing, you stop worrying, and you start focusing on yourself. They are suddenly struck by the discovery of your worth and begin to crave your attention. I've been there, and maybe you've been through something similar. When I started to really value myself, moving away from other people's expectations and focusing on what really mattered to me, I noticed a change, and not just within myself. People around me started to notice something different. I realized that those who previously didn't pay much attention to me were now showing interest. Suddenly, I had become someone more attractive, someone who was no longer desperate for external validation. But why does this happen? Why do they only realize your value when you no longer love them? And this answer lies in the psychological and emotional dynamics of human behavior. When you are always available, always giving your all, people can easily fall into the trap of taking you for granted. They get used to your presence, your attention, and your care. It's human nature to underestimate what's readily available, but the moment you decide to step back, reclaim your energy, and focus it on yourself, everything changes. This shift in dynamics forces them to confront the reality of your absence. Suddenly, what they previously took for granted becomes painfully noticeable. They begin to realize the depth of what they are missing, a reliable presence, a source of support, and perhaps even a source of love. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be different from the one who offended you." By taking a step back and focusing on yourself, you're not just taking back control, you're changing the narrative. When you stop being present, you are left with a void, and that void triggers a deep feeling of regret and longing. They begin to realize that your value was not in your constant presence, but in the uniqueness of what you brought to their lives that no one else can replace. This is the moment when they start to see your true worth, and it hits them hard. Also, by focusing on your growth, you naturally become more magnetic, your self-confidence grows, your energy changes, and you start attracting more positivity into your life. This only intensifies their regret. because they now see a version of you that is even more desirable, but more distant. In essence, they realize your worth when you no longer love them, because you have taken away the comfort of your presence. You have allowed them to see what life is like without you, and in that absence, your worth becomes tremendously evident. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes taking a step back is the most effective way to make someone realize that they can't afford to lose you. This isn't about playing games, it's about understanding human nature and using it to claim your own power and worth. Seneca once said, "Absence diminishes mediocre passions and ignites great ones." And that's what happens when you remove yourself from the equation. Superficial connections lose strength, while the real ones intensify. People begin to value the space you occupied because your absence makes them notice how necessary you were in their lives. 2. The change in dynamics. This is a real game changer, and it's about how the balance of power can be flipped when you decide you're done chasing everyone else. It's like changing the rules in the middle of a game. You go from playing defense to playing offense, and suddenly it's them trying to catch up. Imagine this scenario. You are always putting in all the effort, sending, texting, making plans, and everything else that goes into keeping the relationship going. You're basically a one-person cheerleading squad, always cheering each other on. But what happens when you decide that enough is enough? You stop putting them on a pedestal and instead start focusing on yourself. It's like that moment in a movie where the underdog finally realizes his worth and stops trying to impress others. And guess what happens next? The dynamic changes. Suddenly it's not you anymore who's seeking validation, it's them. They start to feel that shift and it throws them off balance. This shift is powerful because it forces them to see things in a new light. As the great Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be invincible." When you stop giving away your power and start claiming it, they can't help but notice. You're no longer bending to their will, and that makes you incredibly intriguing. Think of it this way. When you're always available and eager, they know exactly where you're leaning. But when you pull back, when you stop being so predictable, it creates a sense of mystery. Suddenly they're not sure if they still have your attention, and that uncertainty can be irresistible. It's like when you get hooked on a TV show, but then the plot got a little boring, so you stopped watching. But then a friend tells you that the last episode had an unexpected twist, and suddenly you're hooked again. You start binge-watching to catch up, all because the show went from being predictable to surprising. That's exactly what happens when you change the dynamic in a relationship. You go from being that constant, predictable presence to someone a little bit harder to understand, a little bit more interesting. This is exactly how they feel when you change the dynamic. Suddenly they are the ones trying to get you back. But remember that this isn't about manipulation. It's about recognizing that relationships are a two-way street. If you've been doing all the work on your own, it's time to let go and see if they're willing to step up. And if they do, great. And if they don't, you've just made room in your life for someone who will value you without needing to be reminded. So embracing the change in dynamics is a powerful reminder that you deserve to be valued, not just by others, but by yourself. When you stop chasing, you create space for people to come to you, and those who truly value you will rise to the occasion. Keep focusing on your belief in your happiness and your journey, and remember that you are not just changing the dynamic, you are changing the rules of the game. 3. The appeal of independence. Let's delve into one of the most fascinating aspects of human relationships, the appeal of independence. This concept is a real game changer and is absolutely crucial to understanding why they suddenly want you, right now when you no longer want them. Imagine this scenario. You have always been the one who reaches out, who is available, who makes time for them, who have grown accustomed to your attentions and maybe even taken them for granted. But then something changes. You decide to focus on yourself, on your growth, on your happiness, on your goals. You stop waiting for their calls. You stop rearranging your life for them and you start living for yourself. Here's the key point. Independence is incredibly attractive. It's like turning on a switch in their minds. Suddenly they see you thriving on your own and it hits them like a ton of bricks in the head. You're no longer just the person who was always there for them. You're someone who's building a life, growing and shining without needing them. And that's when things start to turn around. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. When you live in harmony with yourself, you radiate a peace and confidence that are undeniably attractive. It is this inner strength that draws people back to you when they realize they are no longer the center of your universe. But why does independence have this effect? It's because independence conveys self-esteem. When you are independent, you are telling the world, I am valuable on my own. I don't need anyone to complete me. And believe me, people notice. They start to see what they're missing. A person who is completely self-sufficient and living life on their own terms. This is the essence of the appeal of independence. Imagine you're at a party. There's someone there who's friendly, chats with everyone, but doesn't particularly stand out. Then there is someone else who is self-assured, comfortable in his own skin, moving through the crowd with ease, not desperate for attention, but thoroughly enjoying himself. Who would you be more attracted to? Probably the second one, right? That's the beauty of independence in action. When you embody independence, you become that person who doesn't need to chase anyone's approval. You're busy chasing your own dreams, and that's much more attractive. It is this confidence and self-assurance that makes others want to be a part of your life, even if they didn't see your value before. But let's get one thing straight. Independence isn't about closing doors to people or being distant, but about prioritizing yourself, your goals, and your well-being. It's about showing that while you value relationships, you don't depend on them for your happiness. This subtle but powerful shift, this change of mentality transforms the perception that others have of you. They begin to see you as someone desirable, not because you are always available, but because you are living a full and rich life that they want to be a part of. And this is where the magic happens. When you focus on your independence, you naturally attract more positivity and opportunities into your life. You are not waiting for someone to validate you, because you have already given that validation to yourself. That's when they start to miss you, to crave the energy and confidence you radiate. Embrace your independence, cultivate yourself. Remember that you are your greatest asset. As you continue to grow and thrive on your own, you will find that those who previously didn't value your worth will begin to see it clearly, and by then it might be too late for them. In the end, living independently is about loving yourself enough to know that you don't need anyone else to validate your worth. So, get out there, live your best life, and watch others realize how much they want to be a part of it. Stay strong, stay focused, and most importantly, stay true to yourself. Your independence is not just attractive, it's magnetic. The effect of rarity. Now let's get into the fourth point, the weirdness effect. This is a real game changer, and it's something that touches on the heart of the topic we're discussing. Why do people only want you when you no longer want them? You see, people are naturally predisposed to desire what they can't easily have. It's like a forbidden fruit. The further out of reach it is, the sweeter it seems to taste, and the more desirable it becomes. The same principle applies to relationships. When you make yourself less available, you become weird, and that weirdness increases your value in their eyes. You're always there, always available, always ready to drop everything for them. So they get used to that. They start to think that your attention is something they can always count on no matter what. But the moment you walk away, something fascinating happens. They suddenly start to notice the space you leave behind. They start to realize that your presence wasn't something they should take for granted. And so you go from being a common presence in their life to becoming something rare and valuable. It's a bit like how we treat everyday items versus rare collectibles. You wouldn't worry about losing a cheap pen, because you can get another one at any time. But if you lose a rare, limited edition item, you would feel the loss, right? When you become weird, you stop being that common pen and become that unique object that they can't stop thinking about. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not that we have little time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you realize that your time and attention are valuable, you stop giving them away so easily. And believe me, when you step back and start valuing your own time, others start valuing it too. They begin to see you not just as someone who is always there, but as someone whose presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. We all want what we think we might lose, and that's exactly what happens when you create a little distance. Now, this doesn't mean you play hard to get or start some kind of mind game. It's about genuinely focusing on yourself, your growth and your happiness. When you're not always available, when you're busy living your best life, they can't help but notice your absence. This absence becomes a powerful reminder of your worth, and they begin to crave that presence they once took for granted. Imagine a scenario where you are always texting, always available for a call, always saying yes to plans. Now, flip the script. Imagine you start focusing on your passions, spending time with other friends, investing in yourself. You are no longer the person who is always available. That's when they start to miss you. They start to wonder what you're doing, why you're not around anymore, and they start to long for that connection they were previously unaware of. The weirdness effect reminds us that sometimes less is more. When you stop giving so much of yourself away, you give others the chance to miss you, to value you, and to realize what they stand to lose. It is a powerful tool, not only in relationships, but in life in general. So take this as a little motivational push. Don't be afraid to take a step back and let others feel your absence. Focus on yourself and allow them to realize how valuable your presence really is. Remember, you are not just anyone. You are someone who deserves to be missed, and when you start treating yourself that way, others will too. 5. The contrast of trust. This is where things start to get really interesting. You see, confidence is one of those qualities that is both magnetic and transformative. When you no longer love someone, something remarkable happens. You begin to radiate a new level of confidence, and believe me, they can't help but notice it. Imagine this scenario. Before you were completely wrapped up in someone else's world, maybe even a little insecure, always seeking their approval or attention. But then you make the decision to focus on yourself, to let go of the need for their validation, to stop worrying so much about what they think, and instead start caring more about your own growth, happiness, and well-being. It's like a switch flips inside you. You suddenly walk with more confidence, smile brighter, and radiate a sense of self-confidence that wasn't there before. This change doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it's overwhelmingly obvious. The person who previously took you for granted now sees you in a completely different light. You are no longer the person who was always there waiting for their attention. You are now someone who thrives on your own. And that contrast between who you were when you loved them and who you are now that you no longer love them creates a powerful shift in the way they perceive you. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By reacting to their indifference with confidence and self-assurance, you're sending a clear message. You don't need them to define your worth. When we change our perception of who we are and stop seeking acceptance from others, the way the world perceives us also changes. The truth is that people notice when you are at peace with yourself, when you know your worth and no longer need to prove anything to anyone. That is extremely powerful. I think this is one of the great lessons of Stoicism. True value is within us. And let me tell you, that's incredibly attractive. They suddenly realize that you're not the same person. You're now free and completely out of their reach. When you stop wanting someone and start focusing on your own journey, your confidence grows, and with it their desire for you intensifies, piquing their curiosity and leaving them wondering how they never saw it before. They begin to realize that the person they took for granted has become someone extraordinary, someone who doesn't need them to feel complete. And here's the trick. This confidence not only attracts them, but it also empowers you. You start to see yourself differently too. You realize that your worth is not tied to the opinion or affection of others. You are valuable for who you are, not for who loves you. We can't control what others think or do, but we can control what we think about ourselves. And that self-esteem, that growth naturally attracts those who previously didn't see what had always been there. So let this be your motivation. Embrace your confidence. Let go of the need to be desired and watch as your self-confidence not only transforms you, but also changes the way others see you. You're not just someone's backup plan. You're the main event. The person they suddenly can't stop thinking about because you're no longer seeking their approval. Remember that confidence is contagious. The more you cultivate it, the more people will be attracted to it. And in the end, you will discover that the only approval you really needed was your own. So keep growing, keep shining, and let your confidence be the force that not only attracts, but also empowers you to live your best life. 6. The pain of regret. Have you ever noticed how people often realize what they had only after they've lost it? It's like the classic, you don't know what you have until it's gone, but with a wise twist. Picture this scenario. You've always been there, supporting them, caring, but they didn't appreciate it much. Then one day you decide enough is enough. You walk away, focus on yourself, and suddenly you are faced with the harsh reality of what you have lost. It's like they're walking down memory lane, but instead of enjoying the walk, they're tripping over the stones of regret. Regret is a powerful emotion. It has a way of suddenly appearing and whispering in your ear what you've done. And for them, it's not just about missing you, but the deep pain of knowing they had something great and let it slip away. As Seneca wisely said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning. But here's the kicker. That ending for them is the beginning of their regret. Let's face it, regret can be a brutal teacher. It forces them to replay all the times they took you for granted, all the times they didn't appreciate your worth. It's like they're stuck in a loop, realizing over and over again what they've lost, and that's when they start wanting you more than ever, longing for a second chance, even though they know deep down they may never get it. So if you ever feel unappreciated, remember this. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to step back and let them feel the pain of regret. It's not about being cruel. It's about letting them see your true worth, and who knows, that regret could be the spark that ignites a new beginning, one where they finally realize that you were always the person they really needed. Stay strong, focus on your growth, and let the pain of their regret be a testament to your worth. 7. The mystery of uncertainty. This is one of the juiciest parts of why they only want you when you don't want them anymore. Picture this. You've distanced yourself. You've stopped sending those messages asking how their day is going, and suddenly they're left scratching their heads wondering what's going on. Uncertainty drives them crazy. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. And let me tell you, people love a good mystery, especially when it involves someone they once thought had it all figured out. When you create a little distance, you also create a lot of curiosity. Suddenly they're thinking about you more, rehashing past conversations and wondering what you're up to. As Marcus Aurelius said, it is not death that a man should fear, but the fact that he has never begun to live. In this case, they begin to fear losing the connection they had with you. The less they know, the more they want to know. And here's the kicker. Uncertainty isn't just intriguing, it's magnetic, drawing them in like a moth to a candle flame. They start to miss your presence and the certainty they once took for granted. So embrace the mystery, keep them guessing, and watch them come running back eager to solve the puzzle that is you. Remember, your value is not diminished by someone's inability to see your worth. Keep shining, keep growing, and let them realize what they are missing. 8. The change of roles. This is really eye-opening, and honestly, it's almost poetic how it unfolds. Picture this. Once upon a time, you were the one doing the chasing, the one seeking validation, always there, always available. But then something changed. You decided to take a step back to focus on yourself, and suddenly the roles were reversed. Now they are the ones chasing you, trying to win you back. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be different from the one who did the harm. By no longer seeking their approval, you put yourself in a position of power. They begin to wonder, why is he not pursuing me anymore? Have I lost something valuable? And that thought is what changes things. Imagine that you were always the one who sent messages first, who made the plans, but now you are not contacting, you are not available, and they feel the change. They start sending you messages, trying to get your attention, trying to get back what they didn't value before. The beauty of this role reversal is that it's not about playing games, but about recognizing your worth. When you focus on yourself, you become the prize. By taking a step back, you're not only gaining control, but you're also teaching them a lesson about your worth. So keep shining, keep focusing on your growth, and watch the roles naturally reverse in your favor. 9. The fear of the end. When you decide to move forward, there is a moment of absolute panic that takes hold. It's like a sudden realization that this might actually be the end of the relationship. And trust me, nothing makes someone want you more than the fear of losing you forever. You've stopped contacting, you've stopped worrying, and you've started living your best life. They see you prospering, and suddenly they are overcome with the terrifying thought of not being able to get you back. It's a classic case of not knowing what you have until it's gone, and at that point they start to panic, wondering if they really have lost their chance to be with you. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul is dyed with the color of its thoughts." Well, now their thoughts are tinged with regret, fear, and a desperate longing to undo the ending, to not let you go. They will strive to get you back, because the thought of you being gone forever is just too much to bear. Keep focusing on yourself and let them feel that fear, because it is a powerful reminder of your worth. When you choose yourself, you not only become stronger, you also become someone they realize they can't afford to lose. These 9 tests prove that when you claim your power, you focus on yourself and take a step back, forcing others to face the reality of losing you. It's not just about making them want you, it's about understanding your own worth and letting them see it too when it's almost too late. Thanks for joining me. I'd love to hear what you think of our approach today. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. I invite you to our next journey, where we will continue along the path of growth and empowerment guided by Stoic philosophy.